you will have visibility to all the recordings probably in 48 hours once the session is over. How do you access these recordings? One is register for all the sessions that you are looking for. I'm not just talking about this webinar series, any community sessions which are happening virtually. If you feel that the topic is relevant for you, irrespective of whether that time slot is you're available on that time slot, I would highly encourage all of you to still register for those sessions, because if you register and if you miss out on that session, you will automatically get an email in 48 hours which includes the recording of the session. So it's there, it's there for you to access. And if by any chance you want to watch any session recordings which you haven't registered, as you can see on my screen, just go to the sessions. For example, this is session number 1. Just go to the session link, and you can just scroll down and you can see the recording over here itself, and you will also see the presentation which was shared. So you are definitely not missing out on any sessions that are virtually taken on the webinars, and this is how you can access those recordings. Just go back to the event page, which was the registration page, and you will see the recording of all the sessions on that page itself. Same for this session and same for all the sessions coming in the future too. Feel free to keep this session interactive. We want to make sure that it's not a seminar or a webinar which is a one-way communication. A lot of this content is driven by the curiosity from your side, and that's where today's session is also about from curiosity to ROI. We are going to talk about the cost benefit analysis of agentic automation. Feel free to unmute and ask questions. If not, just put your questions on chat and our experts will make sure that all your questions are answered on time. And yes, stay put, and please do share these activities and resources with all your colleagues, all your stakeholders, all your teammates. Post about participating in this on your social channels so that others can also see what is happening out there and get the benefit out of it. So that's it. I hand it over to speakers for today, Deepak and Avala from Boundaryless, and Saloni from Ropoyo. Deepak, Avala, Saloni, over to
Thank you, Rohit. Please confirm if you're able to see my screen.
you. Yes, yes, I can.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rohit, for setting the stage. And this is the session 3 or webinar series B Agentic Automation Discovery, where we are going to talk about ROI, cost benefit analysis of agentic automations. Because this series is started by the Bangalore team, and I believe Rohit already covered about it, so I will quickly move further. So about the speaker, myself, Deepak Rai. I am 5 times Yapat MVP as well as YouTuber and creating content related to agentic, RPA, and project management. I'm associated with the Boundaryless team, and yeah, along with me, we have AP Reddy, who is also a colleague of mine, and he is a grand prize winner of Yapat Agent Hackathon 2025, as well as first prize winner of 2024. He is specialized in agentic and AI automations, combining his strong analytical mindset and practical implementations, as well as a certified business analyst, UiPath business analyst, as well as RPA associate. And third speaker, we have Saloni Juneja, who is again UiPath MVP, uh, which is recognized for her outstanding contributions as well as project manager and business analyst. Right now, she is associated with the Roboyo group. Now, what we'll see, the today's agenda is we will just add some lights on traditional RPA as well as talking about RPA ROI versus agentic ROI. Why traditional RPA? Because when we are relating with the ROI or comparing with the ROI perspective, it is very important point where we have to first add some lights on RPA and then we'll discuss on the ROI. as well as cost driver tools, training compute and all. Along with that, we'll also talk about long-term benefit, realizations, autonomy dividends, and real-world ROI breakdowns from pilot cases, as well as BE's role in quantifying value and efforts in agentic automations. And finally, we'll close with aligning cycle stages with ROI checkpoints. If you have any questions, we'll definitely take it. So now, so first we'll start with traditional RPA. As most of you are from the RPA background, you definitely have the idea about it. But when we are comparing with the traditional RPA as well as agentic AI, we have to first understand what is the challenges which we can see to avoid or to pick it up agentic use cases. So when we are talking about the RPA, traditional RPA versus agentic AI, first point always comes in mind, right? Right, rule-based executions versus goal-driven autonomy. So RPA system executes a stick set of predictive instructions. We can tell them what to do and they follow the script. There is no flexibility at all. If the rule isn't written, the task won't be executed. When it comes to the agentic AI, it thrives in autonomy where we define a goal, not the steps, and the agent determines how to reach it. This makes agentic automations much more suitable for dynamic environments, and it can access changing variables and still find a way to meet the objectives like GPUs that reroutes when the traffic hit. And when we are talking about the first pointer, like rule based executions versus goal driven, the key takeaways always have RPA follows fixed rule without deviations. Agentic AI dynamically plans towards goal with greater flexibility makes agentic AI ideal for unpredictable scenario. Second is static automations versus adaptive intelligence. RPA operates on a static logic. Once a process is designed, it does not change unless a human reprograms it. This rigidity works well for consistent, high volume tasks but falls apart from the variability. However, agentic AI is designed to adapt. It uses machine learning to update the behavior over time, responding to new inputs, contextual signals, or user preferences. Taking an example, while RPA might always spend a report on 9 a.m. But if we need a dynamic structure, agentic AI can decide to delay or prioritize based on changing business needs or exceptions. Third is non-learning versus continuous improvement. Traditional RPA does not learn. If something goes wrong, it keeps failing until a human fixes it. There is no memory, no insight at all. However, AI improves with experience. It collects feedback, analyzes patterns, and adjusts over time. This becomes more accurate, faster, and better at handling exceptions, which is crucial in enterprise environment where workflow needs to evolve constantly to stay competitive. Fourth is human defined versus continuous improvement. See, normally when we are talking about the human defines and continuous improvements, some of the rules are set by the human beings, which is by using that RPA process will be performed. When we have AI driven reasonings, it always takes decisions based on the process, based on the requirements, and come up with the final conclusions or final solutions. Fifth is limited context awareness versus situational understanding. So RPA executes blindly without understanding. Agentic AI adapts based on full context and it enhances decision accuracy and responsiveness. And finally, we have six pointer where fragile to change versus resilient to change. RPA breaks easily with small changes. Like if we have Excel file which is kept in the local folder and file name got updated with little enhancements, like instead of Deepak we have added Deepak S, and it might breaks. But agentic AI adopts and recovers gracefully, which reduces maintenance cost and downtime. On continuation of this is the high level stats in terms of coding, decision making, and flexibility as well as scalability, where RPA uses if then logic. As if we can compare with the agents, agents understand natural languages and based on that, it acts on it. In terms of decision making, RPA follows rules, but agents analyze and decide based on the AI impact or based on the natural languages. RPA needs update for changes, but agents adjust dynamically. In terms of scalability, RPA works best in structured process, but agents can work across platform, not just structured processes. Here is the high level comparisons into the ROI of RPA and agents. Before moving to this, I just wanted to add few pointers in terms of automation landscape, because automation landscape is experiencing a regular shift while RPA has the backbone of enterprise automation for years. A new player has emerged, agentic AI, which can help any industries to make it better and faster. In terms of traditional RPA operates like sophisticated macros following predefined rules to automate repetitive tasks. However, agentic AI, in contrast, represent a fundamental shift towards system, and AI agents today is able to decompose a given task, monitor long running and subtasks. When it comes to the ROI calculations, it always calculated based on these 8 factors. First is with the setup cost. When we compare with the traditional RPA ROI calculations, it always starts from low to medium. Agentic AI setup cost always varies from medium to high. In terms of adaptability, this always considered at low. However, agentic AI is dynamic goal driven, and that's reason it's always considered as high. Exception handling, we can add a lot of exception handling module, but still that can be manual. But here in while doing with the agents or agentic AI, we can autonomously escalate intelligently, as well as we can fix it with the help of AI as well. One of the examples we can say as auto healing, where if selector is broken into any of the RPA agent or RPA processes, this can be easily fixed with the help of agents. Maintenance cost is always high in traditional RPA. However, this is lower over time into the agents, which is self-correcting. Speed to ROI, where faster, which is 3 to 6 months, but in agents, this always depends on or varies from process to process or solutions to solutions, which is moderate in between 6 to 12 months. Long-term ROI, which covers 1.5 to 2, which is given by Deloitte. When we compare with the agents AI by McKinsey and auxiliary boards, it always varies from 4x to 5x. Scalability is simple enough where we can siloed, as well as in agents, we have system-wide across departments. And cognitive adaptivity capabilities we don't have in RPA, but agentic AI is reasoning with natural language memory. Finally, when we are jumping into the components, these are 7 different components which impacts on ROI. Labor cost reductions, faster process turnaround time, improved accuracy and compliance, scalability across workflows, customer and employee satisfactions, as well as agility and adaptability, which can be calculated with the benefit minus cost, and you're already aware of the formula about it. So ROI can be calculated by this way. So here is the deterministic to agent. when we are talking about this. So this is a final summary when in terms of UI path, where traditional RPA equal to deterministic task. When we are counting for agentic is goal. If you remember, when I said agentic is goal driven, along with that, it also consumes context plus some tools as well as keeping human in the loop. And that's where agentic is the power driven or AI power driven. When it comes to the platform dependent, UiPath platform covers orchestrations, action center, integration services, DU. This is one of the examples. And of focus what cost your money versus what pays you back, where agents will help you in terms of goal to achieve as an objective to achieve, not just a series of fixed steps. And in context, it understands the situations. So this is about ROI part. Now I will hand over for further topics to AP. Over to AP.
Thank you, Deepak, for setting up the stage. And hello, everyone. Myself, Parmeshwara Diawala. Generally, I go by AP or AP Reddy. So, before we dive into the specifics of agentic economics, I would like to tell you the importance of these economics. So, I'll start with a crucial business shift that's happening all around us where we can relate. So, for decades, companies have been focused on cost effectiveness. That means finding the most efficient human labor, like hiring offshore employees, etc. So it was all about optimizing the cost of human resources. But today, with the rise of agentic AI, the fundamental decision for business is changing. It's no longer just about comparing the cost of human labor versus human labor. It's shifting from human labor versus agents or agentic. So when should we use AI agents and when should we leverage humans? Be on the same side, Deepak. So now you might have seen many AI projects struggle, and as per some recent news published from MIT or Gartner, etc., which are reporting a high failure rate. This is generally due to unclear goals, poor data, or underestimating complexity. That's precisely why understanding the economics and having a strategic approach to agentic automation is very crucial. So it's basically not just about deploying AI, it's deploying it smartly with the right platform, the right strategy, and a clear focus on the returns. So we'll explore this first and unlock the compounding returns today. So there are different cost drivers, and let's start with tools. Think of it like equipping your best team members with best software and resources. So the first one, platform and orchestration. So this is your central command center, like your path orchestrator, where it manages everything, and this is always often a fixed cost. Human in the loop. Tools like Action Center will allow agents to involve humans for critical decisions. This is where our intelligence meets human oversight. Next, connectors and data. To be truly intelligent, our agent needs to connect to various systems. So these connectors will allow agents to access information from different systems. And AI add-ons, this is where the agentic power comes in. So tools like DU, document understanding, and AI Center, which which help agents interpret and learn from data, even from unstructured documents. So these often have variable costs tied to how much they are used, and because they are mostly doing the more complex work than any other thing. So, and finally, the tools, sorry, insights. So we need tools to monitor how our agents are performing. Basically, the dashboards we see in insights to see if all this is really or actually working. So the key takeaway here is we have fixed platform costs, but many advanced AI features have variable costs based on the usage. Next slide. Next, the essential element, training and people. So even the best tools need skilled people to guide them. Think of it like developing a high performance team. So first, discovery and baselining. This is where our business analysts and subject matter experts, SMEs, come in. So our BAs and SMEs identify tasks, volumes, and the cost of others, essentially where we can eliminate waste. So this is a people intensive phase. This is all about thinking and analyzing where we need our human brains. And next, design and governance. Here we are defining the context. It's about setting the right set of rules for our agents. Again, significant human expertise is needed and which ties to our human cost.
Yeah.
And build and readiness, where our developers and IT teams are very crucial here. They build the connections, policies, and workflows. Next, operations and improvement, which is always ongoing support and refinement, which we have a cost for this as well. And the rule of thumb, people cost is always front loaded. We invest upfront, but as automation assets are reused, the need for repetitive human tasks decreases, which frees people for high value work, as we say, automations. So which will tie directly into our dividends. So next slide. The cost driver 3, compute and usage. So this is our variable cost. Basically, it's the energy our intelligent agents consume. So if you see LLMs, tokens, and embeddings. So whenever agents process complex documents or generate responses, they use large language models, so which consume tokens. So this is always a key variable cost depending on the type of response or depending on the type of request we give, the amount of token usage differs. And next, governance. So governance is a key here. We must govern this usage by setting up limits and tracking usages across all the agents. And optimization. So we can optimize costs by using smaller models. For example, we don't need very large models to do a simple task. So optimizing the cost by using the right set of model is always a great factor, and setting the limits and caching the data is also a factor for the optimization cost. And if you see here, the cost package formula, which break down these elements. It's not just about the core platform. It's about the intelligent process happening under the hood. So understanding this is very critical for forecasting or managing our automation budget effectively. Next. Now let's think about the real payoff, which is the autonomy dividend. This is where we shift from our investment to returns. So always the business want returns, not only the investment, but they want returns. So these are the compounding benefits as our agents become more capable and independent. So as you see from the graph, these dividends emerge once we have laid the foundation. So what do these dividends look like? So first, operational efficiency. We can see reduced average handling time and a significant burn down of those backlogs. And as agent becomes more capable, the need for human approvals in the loop decreases, and it will free up the human capacity, obviously. Then with more intelligent processing and better governance, we see fewer violations and errors, and the risk is always reduced here. And unlike humans, agents work 24/7, which can drive faster cycles and which can accelerate it, which can give accelerated time to revenue. And the policies and the connectors we build can be reused across different processes or different scenarios or anything or in future, which will amplify our return. So this dividend is about eliminating the waste. Now, the waste of time, the waste of errors, the waste of underutilized capacity, and it grows as the agent's autonomy increases. Next slide. Now, how to unlock these dividends or how to achieve these dividends? So we need to enable them by managing the progression of our agents. First, govern usage and policies. This is our starting point where we set safe parameters with, for example, UiPath, automation, ops, or a trust layer. And we orchestrate work and approvals where we strategically use orchestrator and action center for human in the loop activities, which allows precise autonomy where agent handles most of the task, but humans will review only the critical points. And by tracking the performance metrics like act percentage or human in the loop percentages, violations, and cost per case, we can tune and expand the agent scope here. And the levels here from L0 or LO, which gives suggestion, to L3, which acts a broader act, which performs autonomous action with insights review. It shows the progression and unlock increasing value always. The next slide, please. Now, we have seen the dividends. How should we quantify this? So this is an example of our snapshot, which gives us a framework. So although this is high level, industries or different organizations can come with their own framework or with their own formulas and all, but this is a generalized thing. So before we baseline our metrics, like we found out volume, handling time, exceptions, and the cost of rework, which is a key waste. We are obviously aiming to eliminate those. And after that, after the L2 step, we measure the impact and increased act percentage. Act percentage is nothing but how much the agent handles, and reduced human in the loop activities percentage, and crucially, cost per case and violations per 1,000 actions. And here are the generalized formulas. Annual benefit is sum of hours saved, leakage avoided, plus late fees avoided. And annual cost, which is also a sum of a platform cost, upfront people cost, and compute per case cost. So this ROI percentage, as Deepak explained, it tells us the financial viability of our complete framework. Next slide, please. So to make this tangible, there should be a goal or there should be a procedure where we have come up with a 90-day runaway principle. So the key principle for this is you start small, prove the curve, and publish the dividend. So let's say week 0 to 2, you know, basically the baseline and foundation. We begin by baselining our metrics using insights and setting up our AI trust and policies. So this is very crucial for understanding our starting point and setting the guardrails. Next, week 3 to 6, we will run a pilot at level 1 with action center approvals. This will allow us to test the workflow and our understanding of the compute budget required. And it's about basically proving the feasibility, like what we do, the feasibility analysis. And next, week 7 to 12, scale and refine. If the pilot is successful, we promote a safe slice of the work to level 2, where we have a low risk autonomous section, and we actively track the improvement in act percentage, the reduction in human in the loop percentage, and monitor our cost per case. So this is where we start to clearly see and measure the dividend. So by following this phased approach, we can build confidence, we can demonstrate value early, and make a strong business case for broader adoption. So with this, I hand over the mic to Saloni. Thank you.
Thanks, Deepak and AP, for introducing ROI and cost benefit analysis in the world of agentic automation. Hi everyone. So my name is Saloni, and Deepak has already provided my introduction. Now that we have understood various principles in the space of agentic automation, I would now build upon by talking some of the real world impacts these agents are creating, where companies and organizations have already implemented some of the pilot cases. And before we actually look at the quantitative benefits, I'll look at the qualitative benefits, which are also important as part of agentic automation. So if you move on, AP, to the next slide. Thank you. So this is in fact delivered by McKinsey as a report, where McKinsey has also stated that agents actually deliver more than efficiency, and they are actually enhancing the operational agility, which means that these agents are accelerating the execution because it eliminates the delays between tasks, and they can also do parallel processing, which means that unlike in traditional workflows where we were relying more on sequential handoffs, these agents can actually coordinate between themselves if there are multiple agents, and they can execute multiple steps simultaneously, which means that it reduces the cycle time, and it also boosts the responsiveness of the entire process that we are dealing with. These agents bring adaptability. So this is one of the things that we have been talking in most of our sessions, that these agents continuously ingest a lot of data. They can adjust to processes on the fly. So it's not that they are only looking at a rule based kind of a scenario. They can actually change their behavior with the changes in data, changes in environment, reshuffling between different tasks. So they can also reassign priorities, and they can flag anomalies if they see in the data that has been presented, and maybe what you have used within the organization. So this makes the workflows much more smarter rather than just not being fast. So these are some of the qualitative benefits that organizations are seeing, and which is making these agents really valuable for organizations, where these agents also enable personalization. So this actually, they can tailor the interactions and the different decisions they are making based on a customer profile. So if, for example, it's a process that's more to do with maybe a contact center, or which deals with a lot of interaction with customers, so these agents can actually adapt behaviors, and they can actually improve the satisfaction and the employee not the employee, sorry, the customer satisfaction rate. So these are another couple of examples that we would like to utilize in all the processes that we are seeing. And these agents also bring elasticity, because these agents are digital, they are working in real time environment. Their execution capacity can also expand. So there are times when you will have surge in your process. You will see that there is a peak in dollar of volumes that are maybe at the month end or an year end. So this can actually be adapted in terms of how they're looking at the workload. They tweak over a period of time to actually achieve what is required, and which might not be a possibility for a even human resource at a real time. At the same time, these agents also make operations more resilient, which means they can actually monitor the disruptions that might be happening in the process, and they can reroute operations to different agents, or even move it from agent to a human only when an escalation is needed. So that's where they are you doing that at the right time. They are not moving all the cases to a human. It's only done when it's actually required. So that means that the processes keep on running, and you are not relying on an agent to finish for one task. It just moves on to another task, while maybe the users can pick up those escalation cases. And lastly, and which is the most important thing, is that they are amplifying the existing revenues by helping spurring the top line growth. And honestly, from a management perspective or for an organization, I think revenue is most important thing. So they work on some of the existing revenue streams, and also maybe help on unlocking some of the entirely new ones, which might be something which a human might be overlooking at. So, as I said, this is also detailed in the McKinsey report that talks about the ROI generated by agentic automation. Now that we know about some of the qualitative aspects, let's move on to look at the real world use cases. And I think AP has done a great job in making us aware about how you can actually calculate that. What are those aspects, those cost drivers in the world of agentic automation? So let me pick up a few real world use cases. In the last session, also, we picked up a few use cases, and this is slightly different because we also want to give you a flavor of different use cases in different departments of the organization. So the first two are more focused in the internal departments in an organization. To start with, one of the use case which is prominent in IT departments, which are being handled by organizations. So traditionally, this is basically a legacy app modernization, where traditionally it was done manually, but today with the introduction of agentic automation, these agents are writing new codes. They are reviewing the codes of other agents. They can integrate the code with different features that are available, maybe APIs, etc. And very interestingly, these agents can actually test the code that might be developed by another agent. So which is actually giving a lot of benefit in terms of improving the productivity and time by almost 50%. So these are some of the use cases that companies are also adopting. Moving to the next one, which is also a prominent one in a marketing kind of a space. So, where there are a lot of people who perform digital market research, and there are multi agents that are actually doing this now by identifying data anomalies in the market, and they look at the shifts in the sales and market share for different organizations. So this is a real example which has been implemented by an organization. And with advanced search and contextual reasoning, these agents are actually surfacing some of the insights that even human being cannot even look at. They might find it difficult. So they are looking at those aspects that are so much underlying, which might not be visible with maybe a human eye. And it has been seen that there's a potential of gaining at least 60% of productivity while you're actually picking up this use case. Now that we have looked at a few pertaining to IT and marketing department, which is more internal, so let's move on to two more use cases, which is operational use cases. So the first one being, and this is quite related in a finance kind of an environment, which is credit risk memos. So these agents, they actually extract the data, and when I say data, it can be credit memos basically, and they draft these memo sections. They generate confidence scores to prioritize the review. They suggest, which is a great feature, is they suggest what are the relevant follow-up questions. So based on which it can actually change. So when I spoke about the potential gain, it's more of a range from 20 to 60, because it varies from the amount of volume that you might have for a customer or for an organization, and it also sometimes vary with the complexity. So that's where it has been seen that it's lying between 20 to 60 percent of the productivity. And
Junaja, can I ask you one question?
yeah, sure.
Okay, because see, I know the traditional ROI, which how it works, but
Yeah.
when you're talking about 85%, so I just want to know whether is it for which year it actually going to become. So, do you have any numbers to replicate this or show this percentages?
I have. So this is a real world case that has been implemented in in my organization. So what I'll do is I'll post the volume as well as the amount that we did in terms of this one. Sorry, I have to see. May I know what's your name? And we I can if you give me a link, I
Amarnath.
can give you that number.
Amarnath. My name is Amarnath,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to know about that 85% part. So, please share the details.
Sure, sure, I can.
Thank
So
you.
Amarnath, just drop me probably a link of your LinkedIn profile or your email ID, and I'll pass on this particular numbers to you. How this is 85%.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so that's where that's the last use case where AP forecasting, where these agents agents also work with all the different technologies that we were using in past. So for an AP forecasting, typically we start with an OCR solution to extract the data from unstructured invoices, and then the agent performs the three-way matching against PO. So those who might be part of finance field, they know what is a three-way matching. So with that, it's actually real-time prompting, which is looking at autonomous adjustment of forecast during finance reviews. And as we were talking about the productivity, so this is a real use case where there's a time reduction of almost 85% that has been observed. So these are some of the use cases. I would probably pause for not just questions, but in fact, if anybody wants to share their experiences while they implemented any projects, any kind of real world examples that they created, not just maybe an implementation, but even a POC that you created. And if you want to share some of the ways how you're actually changing the processes in your organization or for your clients. So anybody who wants to talk about it. It will be great for everybody to learn from you. If you have done that, please feel free to share. If not, happy to move on.
Hi, Saloni, Avinav this side. Uh, so,
Yeah, hi.
uh, so the one of the use case which came, which we are trying to, address right now, it's not yet implemented, but we are just getting started with agents. So the use case is they wanted to know, uh, based upon the inputs from our uh, underwriters, what is the in the external world, the other competitors, what are they offering, like for example any job title, for example Python developer or underwriter, when what is the uh, job descriptions they are getting, what is the salary they are getting from the different career sites. So I wanted to know a little bit on this, that I know, okay, we can do indexing, we can store the data which is in house with the storage bucket and all. But with web, when the data is outside on different external websites and different formats, can we like can the agent do that as well? Like if we give the prompt and we somehow in the tool section mention that these are the sites, can it, based upon the input, can it specifically look at those organization sites to get the data out of it?
Yes, it can. So if you would have looked at some of the integrations that UiPath is coming out with, yes, you can definitely do that. And if you want probably just to talk more about, how exactly you can look at those prompts and all, maybe we can chat offline and then we can help you build those kind of prompts for those web-based tools, because we have to also understand what URLs you are looking at, or is it an application or etc. So we
No,
can have a chat.
it's yeah, I will for sure. I will reach out to you on over LinkedIn if that works for you. Those are mostly career site of different organizations.
Okay. Yeah. So it looks
Okay.
pretty much, kind of doable, but maybe we need to have slightly more details to deep down of what you're trying to achieve, how you're trying to achieve, where is the data stored, is it like, a huge set of data, etc. So, all those questions, maybe let's look at it and then help you get that nailed down.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
So
Works.
towards
Thanks.
the end of the
Saloni.
session, all three of us would share our LinkedIn profiles. So just feel free to reach out. But all these kind of discussions need slightly more insights. I said yes, it's possible, but how exactly we achieve that would vary from what you're trying to achieve and how do we actually make it possible. Yeah. Um, Anybody else who wants to share their experience in terms of any specific pilot case that they have worked on?
Pradeep
I
Verma
probably
raised your hand.
Hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
hi team.
Hi everyone. Hi, sorry.
Yep. So we have done quite a few use cases. So one is, what I think Abhinay or Anubhav is talking about into the HR segment where we have implemented a bot wherein it actually, takes the JD as a input and, we used agentic, AI wherein it actually, reviews all the resumes that we have, and it will score them properly, whether is it matching with the JD experience, and various criteria are there internally, and whether that candidate have already applied to us earlier or not, and based on that it actually recommends. And this is one of the use cases, and other is into IDP, where using generative AI and agents, we used it to extract data from utility bills. So it's one of the production use cases which is there, where it extracts from electricity bills of various providers, and then it does the data entry into ERPs. So with some validations and all that in place. So these are a few of the use cases.
Thanks, Pradeep, for sharing that. So, is there any kind of ROI that you would like to present, or this is something that you've just tried and maybe you have to
Not
look
yet.
at the ROI?
Yeah, for the utility, earlier, they used to spend approximately, close to 50 hours a week, I mean, a month to do that postings. And now I can say they are just reviewing it. Probably, not more than 10 to 15 hours of review work, which is, of course, wherever we use agentic or AI, definitely human reviews will be needed. So that we cannot avoid. So that is what. So probably uh, more than 70% of the work has been reduced. So that's the ROI. And for the HR part, we are yet to get the ROI. But so far, you know, for a human to do it, it used to take hours at least, and it's mainly error prone. Reason being, all of us must have applied to various job opportunities, and many times they pick wrong candidates, at least for the interview part. Because things are very, very, dynamic. Example, if you see a data role, you have various roles: data scientist, analyst, engineer, and a lot of things. So here we are looking at moreover the accuracy part, whether the candidate whom we are going to interview, are they correct candidates or not according to the JD. That's the key here, which actually reduces the downstream errors, scheduling interview and the interviewer's time, all of that. So here it's moreover a non-tangible ROI, I can say.
But no, I think the use case that you're talking about, I'm pretty sure that is something which most of the organizations can pick up from. And 70% is a good amount of ROI we are talking about. So
I
that's
have a question, maybe, the previous candidate asked to web scraping, right? So do we have, I can say, agentic activities, or I can say capabilities in UiPath where we scrape from browsers? Because, I mean, I did it in another way, where using agentic browsers like Comet or something, if you can give it an input, it browses across various websites and all of it, and it captures. They are different tools altogether. But using UiPath, are there any, is there any way to do that?
Deepak or AP, would you be able to pick up this question, like based on your experience? Is that something?
I can
Yeah.
take this, Saloni.
Yeah, Pranav, go ahead.
Yeah. So Pradeep, currently, right now, what we are observing, we don't have as such. So, for example, for these cases, we prefer external agents, and this is where LangChain comes into picture. Beautiful Soup is there, and then data loader and all. You can do it from that part right now, but we are expanding there. So probably maybe roadmaps will be there. I am not pretty sure on the roadmap, but definitely this will be on the thing that we can extract it. Another thing, since we all are using RPA, so we can do it through RPA as well, extraction from RPA. So that is another approach if you are using RPA to extract any website part of view. But yes, again, we have Beautiful Soup, LangChain, so which can at least work for you right now.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Pranav. Pradeep, anything else?
No.
Or funny, I have seen you raising your hand. So do you want to ask your question?
Hey all, good morning, good evening. So basically, I'm just doing one of the use case where basically my company with a different technology they're doing the use case. The same thing I'm trying to replicate with the UiPath is the what as an agentic automation I'm looking at it. The use case is basically we're doing is the claims basically in the healthcare domain, there is a claims comes to the provider payers basically, where for each plan there's a different job aid. Based on that, from the claims data, we need to extract the data from specific information. That we need to extract from medical records to validate against the claim, and then finally we need to approve the claim. So that it depends on each job aid, and then do the medical records and extract the content, and finally take a decision once you extract the content. So in this context, when you're using your medical records, the information what you're looking at could be in a multiple pages, right? Generally, what we do the chunks and embedding, and then we are putting in a vector DB to get those things, which is the standard way of RAG what we're doing it. But before doing that, even once I do the checking and storing that, before even I put that, I wanted to send it to LLM as a context, I may also do the further ranking, so that instead of all from my 100 pages of medical records, instead of sending all 10 pages, let's assume my information, what I'm looking at it, I only can send the more accurate 2 pages to get the information by using LLM. I'm doing the ranking and all, which is a custom logic, right? But if I'm doing that with the AI path as a thing, just we're talking about as a context grounding, where I'm just upload the medical records into storage and indexing it. But can I custom logic, like again re-ranking at what pages I wanted to send it to LLMs and all? Can we do that with AI path? Because that's where I little bit dilemma whether we can achieve the similar concept here and implement that. Because that's more custom logic, right? Basically within the content based on that, more rather than from all 10 pages to sending it to LLMs, within the 10 pages, I want to re-rank it and send only 2-3 pages where actual information is available, where I can get that. So can we have our own custom logic in AI path instead of directly using custom context grounding? Can we implement that like a rack? Really replicate the use case, what I'm thinking about it.
Pranav, do you think that's something that you could follow? Because I could hear
No,
some
I
lag
think,
as
yeah.
well.
Maybe I lost him in between, but yes, what I got it is like, right now, only thing is the customization which you have already talked about, re-ranking and then sending it to the DB. I don't think so, right? There is a way right now, but probably in futures you can definitely see this. So right now only customization is there, LangChain, you can use it. Definitely you can
Yeah.
do it with them. Okay.
Yeah, Pranav, this Pinecoin is for that only, na? Pinecoin Vector DB.
Yeah,
It will
Pinecone,
show the.
then ChromaDB, then Facebook AI semantic search, FAAISS. These are the things that is there for
Yeah.
vector DB embeddings part. Yes.
Yeah, our own logic to write it. But because right now most of the times we use the context grounding, I'm just asking it. So can we,
Yeah.
with our own logic, with the, even though you say LangChain or anything, it is only coded agents only we can do that, right? Not with the what right now regularly using your studio, like your UiPath agent, what we're building. We can't do that with that, right? Is that fair understanding?
See, context grounding is there, and
Mhm.
right now we are seeing some priority there. So probably, since I have not actually used that priority right now, there are ways on which they are updating. For example, semantic search, which is the additional feature that they are adding it in their context grounding. So
Okay.
probably these things will work there. Funny.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I'm just, oh, this is one of the use case we are trying it to replicate
No, no,
in
no.
what my
That's a
author engineering team.
perfect use case that we see
Yeah,
generally all around. Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks, Pranav, for jumping in and helping us with the different questions. In the interest of lifetime, let's just move on to a couple of more topics. So we are just covering two more, and that's a very quick ones because now it's very important to understand because we have a lot of BAs and CEO, and this is the sessions that have been also looking those kind of roles. It's important that what's the role of these people in the organization. So moving on to the next topic, can you move on? Yeah, thank you. So we are now going to be talking about this, and I'll be very honest. I don't feel that there is a huge shift in the role with respect to how we actually gather the data for the cost benefit analysis and actually look at this from end to end perspective of ROI, etc. So we have already spoken about those parameters which was presented by AB. But if I'm looking at the way that you would be actually looking at it, starting from when you're identifying the automation opportunities, That's where you would look for how do you prioritize that. And then that's the stage when you actually estimate the effort required for the delivery of that particular agent, and you will actually calculate the ROI. So that's similar in terms of how you were estimating the efforts earlier. And then once we have mapped the manual effort, so typically you would do an as is analysis of what the users are doing. You would actually do an as is mapping of the effort, and then compare it with how much time an agent might take to actually share the efficiency. So that's where you would actually compare with as is and to be. And you can always use Automation Hub even for those instances today, to go back and list all your as is and to be, and it will give you some kind of ROI or cost benefit analysis. Now, once you have captured this data, now you would have an estimate and potential ROI. So go back and you can actually look at the savings that you can monitor on a regular basis. So that's where it will give you an understanding of the potential ROI that might be coming out of an agent. Now, typically, when I usually present ROI and cost benefit analysis, I give a lot of assumptions, taking into account different risks and things that might change with the environment. So, it's very important that when you are in the discovery delivery phase, you collect enough evidences to validate those assumptions. Which means, let me give you an example. So a typical use case, what we talk about from an invoice perspective, we always think about the formats, like what would be the different formats that we are looking at. And you might assume that 70% of the invoices might follow a standard format, but when you actually automated it, you saw that it's just 50% that followed the format. Now, your ROI would actually go down because there is a different format that you're looking at. So that's the kind of assumptions that I'm talking about, that you keep on tracking it while you move on with the real value that this agent is creating, because these are the conversations that you have to have with management to convince them that your agents are taking the right steps. Now that we know that what we need to do, now we also should know when we need to do. And that's where we are talking about the next slide. So if you can move on, Deepak, that I know that now where I have to what I have to actually calculate. Now I know from a software delivery or a discovery cycle, these are the different milestones that we have in a typical process automation. So at the discovery stage, when we are doing opportunity assessment, we will capture the manual time of the user and calculate the estimates for the ROI, which means that you would ask them questions, how much time you're taking it today, so that then you would be able to understand, okay, that's where my ROI would go from manual to the to be part of the agentic automation. So that's during the initial phase. Now, when we have reached to design and development phase, it's the time now when we calculate the actual effort, because when you have developed, now you know that what is the time the agent is taking, which will help you predict the savings that you would have for the entire automation that you have done. And in the testing phase is when you actually do the actual ROI measurement and validation. So in the design phase, it's more effort estimation. But when you are testing, you actually test difficult scenarios or different scenarios and validate all these ROIs that you predicted might be true. And in the production, so when the agent is already picking up data from the production or the live kind of environment, you keep on checking this particular ROI on a regular basis. So it will be monthly, you can actually do it quarterly. And if these agents are actually used even for longer periods, like annually and all, so you keep on tracking that, because that's important to also do continuous improvement, where which is something which most of the companies or even BS misses, that you have to also go back and optimize certain ROIs that you have already measured, which means that if you can reduce the time that agent is taking today, or if you can actually optimize the licenses that have been used as part of this agent, which is working in production. So these are some of the aspects where you actually apply all these principles that we spoke about and make it slightly more robust in terms of how you're achieving your cost benefit over a long period of time. So I think we have already shared a few real time use cases, which some of the people on the call also shared. I'll pause here to ask any questions from anyone, or if there is something which on the chat if we have missed, we'll
Yeah,
probably look back.
one question I have. Sorry, this is Amarnath again. That I just want. I mean, I missed out in the middle actually due to some network issues. But I just wanted to know, do you have any slide which talks about uh, earlier ROI calculation and agentic ROI calculation? No? Anything you have, so that I can understand difference immediately with one shot.
Not in this one, Amanat. Let me go back and find out if we can do a comparison with just a traditional RPA and agentic one. I'm pretty sure there would be enough data for me to help you with, but I don't have that slide in this particular session.
Okay.
That's a good point. So again, let me come back to you if we can present that for some of the use cases that are pretty valid for both the kind of situations, which is traditional as well as agentic.
Okay. And which one to follow? Is it traditional or this recent one, or any other guidelines for that?
We can't say that which one to follow, because the RPA, traditional RPA, is not gone completely. Like, there are a lot of organizations who are still using RPA as automating their some of the use cases, and some of them are using agentic. So it depends on which one you're using, and you can pick up the ROI based on that. So I don't think that everybody is shifting towards agentic automation. There are a lot of organizations still implementing RPA. So it depends on which one you are actually focusing on.
Okay, Julian. Thank you.
Yeah. Pradeep, do you have a question?
Yeah. So Saloni, I mean, in traditional RPA, we measure it based on some time aspects, or imagine I am running a process where I have 100 records. So the bot ran for, let's say, an hour or so. So we calculate it based on the consumption, right? Let's say I'm having some cost to set up RPA development one time, and the bot cost, etc. So it's a plain simple calculation. Anybody can do that, but now when it comes to agentic and AI based, it's all again, I'm having my actual RPA costs, which are fixed again, and
Yeah.
I'm having these token based consumptions, which are very complex to I can say even guess and do that. So in this perspective, how do we do the calculations? Have you guys, maybe you guys have done it, and maybe just help us with that.
So if you actually look at, I think there is a slide 17. Do you want to go back, Deepak? Like, you have got cost per case. So that's where we have done that calculation with a formula.
Yep, I actually missed that.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Slide 17, Deepak.
Okay, so this is basically benefit minus, okay, prompt tokens, cost per case. You mean per record? Is that what?
This one, yes.
Okay, so I'm having, okay, input tokens and output per record. So all these, okay. So do we get all these data visible? Let's say while testing, okay, while I'm building it. So I've taken a random, a case, basically a record. And when I process that record, by end of that record, will I be able to see this for that run? What is the consumption for all of these together?
AP,
Yes.
because, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Can you just take this one? Yeah.
Yes. You can see the number of tokens you used for this particular run, and you can add them, and you can simply calculate this. Yes, it is visible in
Okay,
UiPath.
so you're
Yeah, but
saying per
one
run?
question here again, sorry to interrupt, but again, this is unless until you do a POC, really calculating and all, but is there any pre-hand tool approximately? I'm not saying a ballpark thing, because see, when you go to any business, even you put some effort to really calculate versus regular RPA versus agentic, is it nearby something beyond what we're expectation? There is no point again going, right? But to do that and convince that and do before even you do a POC to really how many tokens are, because all these formula you giving it, unless until you do a POC, really implement that, you can't measure that also, right? It's a challenge. But we should have any guidelines or tool where roughly, okay, if I give that 10 tokens, this is what the approximately cost with this IO, with this embeddings. Maybe a rough guidelines tool may be helpful. I mean, that's what we are looking at as it, because otherwise it's a challenge again, go to business, right? Even your leadership also, like how much is going to roughly cost versus traditional versus your even some use case, as you mentioned, we can do it in traditional, but
Maybe
if you wanted to go that.
maybe funny. I think we are not comparing apple to apple here.
Yes. Agreed,
But I'm
agreed. No,
worried
no,
about
agreed. No, I'm completely
because
with you on that.
earlier
I'm
days,
saying it help. Yeah.
right. Earlier days, we used to test it, whether it's UiPath or any LLM. So unless we go to their studio and pass the input parameters, samples, and then measure the tokens, we can never predict in any AI-based tools, no matter which tool it is, I guess. Maybe I would like to hear from others.
No,
I thought,
I
okay, got it.
sorry,
So for
sorry
AP,
to interrupt.
Okay. Sorry for cutting, and maybe I was about to close it. So
Mhm.
you're saying per job we will be getting it. Example, if I run an automation, let's say if I'm having 10 records, by the time the job ends, irrespective of the records, for the entire job, I'll get the consumption in the my dashboard. Am I correct, team here?
Yes.
Not per
Yes.
record, right? It's
See,
job, and I need
and
to
this
calculate
dashboard
based
is
on.
generated after 24 hours, not immediately.
No, no, that's okay.
So you cannot see
Hmm.
the calculations immediately. This
Hmm.
dashboard is generated after 24 hours. You can see everything into the dashboard itself. Taking an example of OpenAI, right? If you
Hmm.
have the API keys integrated with the OpenAI, when you will
Hmm.
log in into the OpenAI forum,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And when you will see your consumptions in terms of billing, you
Correct,
can
correct.
even segregate the different sections. So
Mm,
for what APIs you have consumed, how much prompt response token, as
mm,
well as uh, for how many users. Consider in our
mm.
process we have two users. So
Okay,
even you can see the bifurcation for both the users
okay,
together,
okay. In that
as
case,
well as segregations will be available.
right, in that case, you're trying to say we need to segregate or create separate API keys for each project, and then accordingly we might have to measure it, right?
No, no. So see, even if you are using API keys for the two different projects, right? So
Mm,
you definitely have the idea when you have processed first project, when you have processed the second project, right?
mm,
Based on the timelines also, because in OpenAI dashboards, you can
mm.
see there will be different filters are available. In
Okay,
each filters, then depending on what you're looking for, you have to apply the
mm,
filters and you will get the responses.
okay, got it.
Consider your company is having two different departments like
Mm,
finance and then you have procurement department. Both the
right.
departments are using different API keys. So
Mm,
based on the API key names, you can even segregate it. How much finance departments consumed and how much
mm.
your procurement department consumed.
Okay.
Hope that answers.
All right. So basically, again, okay, we need to get into the whatever AI LLM we are using the key, whether it's Gemini or ChatGPT. There we'll be getting all the dashboards. So from there we need to calculate these things, right?
Yes, and even in UiPath also,
Mm,
not as of now, it's not complete dashboard is available in UiPath. So
mm,
UiPath is also building in your admin portal. They
mm,
are also building one inside board. So if
mm,
you will just log in into your cloud.uipath.com and go
mm.
to the admin sections, you can see AI units are listed there because
Okay.
UiPath is also using some LLM model, right? Based on
Yeah.
your consumptions, this will also highlight. But there is a
Right.
no detailed dashboard is available. But
Mm,
sooner you will see the entire dashboards will be listed there.
okay.
But definitely, if you are using AutoGen, if you are using Gemini, if you are
Mm,
using OpenAI,
mm,
these all are already giving the dashboards where you will see every bifurcations after 24 hours.
okay.
Immediately, it's not available or not visible, but after
Right.
24 hours, you can see everything.
Perfect. Thanks for the explanation. I'm done.
No issues.
AP,
I think
this
Abhinav is
generated.
having other questions. He raised his
Yes,
hand.
Hello.
Yeah.
Abhinav, do
yes,
you
yes,
want to ask
yes.
your question?
Yeah, so I have little bit I have whatever I've used. So there are two things. Please correct me if I still have the understanding wrong. uh, when you say tokens, is it like whenever we design the prompt, then at the left hand side we see maximum number of token as responses? Those are the token, or this is something else which we are talking about? And what I have seen is when we give input and LLMs understands our intent, then that is the agent unit which is getting deducted. And if there is a context grounding involved, then there is a AI unit which is getting deducted. And post that, if we want to see the dashboarding, because I have two agents, one for finance, one for supply chain, then I have to go to insights to check that, or what method we just talked, which which bounced me like.
Okay. Taking your
Hello.
first questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Prompt token. The whatever
Mm-hmm.
instruction you will do, right? There is a
Mm-hmm.
calculation, and every LLM model is having their own set of calculations. In terms of UiPath,
Mm-hmm.
right? UiPath is having different structure for calculations of number of tokens. So depending on which LLM models you will use, accordingly your tokens will be calculated. When you will use the Copilot, Copilot is having a different structure. So consider their token size is 64-bit. If you are using just 32, the rest 32 is still available for you for the next instructions. But in UiPath, we don't have that structure. Consider the size is 64 and you are just using 20. Then it means in next instructions, you won't be able to use rest 44. So every model is having their own structure of the calculations. But yes, the number of instructions what you will add based on that limits, the token will be calculated. So that's the first part.
Yeah,
And
that I
coming back to
understand.
this,
Once I give the prompt, once I give the prompt at the left and right hand side, we see a number, maximum number of token responses,
no, that is
something like
not
that.
token, that is word, right?
So
Maximum number of
okay,
words.
okay, okay,
Yeah, token will
okay.
be
Then
generated based on their platform calculations. So whatever the size of
okay,
the company, right? Whatever the size of the tokens which they decide, accordingly it will work for each of the LLM models.
okay.
And second point, which you mentioned, right? Yes, definitely you have to go back to your dashboards, and over there you can see the your calculations, how much you have used it, how much you have utilized it.
So this will again come with agent unit. That's what that the parameter will be agent units, right? Or this is some other parameter which we are talking about. When we say that, boss, I will use this agent, a number of calls will go. That deduction will come with the agent units, unless we are using context crowding.
See, UiPath is coming up with the bundles. You don't have to bother about AI units and all, because anyways, we as a user, we are not at all paying to any of those models. So agent usant,
Yeah,
when we are talking about the
that's what
RPA point of,
that,
yes,
that's what I'm coming. I'm not worried about using Gemini or OpenAI. I got a
yeah,
bundle from UiPath, which is 60K agent unit. Now that 60K
yes.
agents unit, I have to segregate between three projects. Now I have to understand for one agent, how many that units is costing. That's what I want to understand. At last, when the call goes, the input goes, and LLM understands it's the number, how much AI units are getting, agent units are getting. Is it like we have in DU? Like for ML extractor, one agent AI units gets directed. For form extractor, point two agent AI units gets directed. How we have over here? I understand that we have a bundle, but what is the for each call? How much is the deduction?
So each call depend on the process, right? If you are using some invoice extractions detail, right, as well as you are sending some tokens or prompt tokens, depending on that it consumes. But for the UiPath bundle, we don't have to calculate each and everything, because it always deducted from the agent units itself. In DU, the
Okay.
structure is different. The DU model is different, right? How many ML extractor we are using, then regex model we are using. Accordingly, it calculates. With the agents, it always depends on the agent unit itself.
That's what
The
if we give any
point
input to
of
the
this
agent,
keeping this
how
message,
much?
right? It is, yeah.
if I give any input to the agent, okay, how much the agent unit will get deducted? Is there any, like, it depends on the string number, or it depends on like what, how it depends? How much is it, like one agent unit per call, or how it is?
So two factors involved based on your tokens and based on your process, how complex process data you're processing.
Okay, okay,
So if PDF is, consider we are using for PDF, right? And PDF size is 4 to 5 pages, where you are processing for 4 to 5 pages. Depending on the data, what you have in your PDF files, accordingly it will consumes.
okay, understood.
Hi,
Thanks,
Deepak, this is
thanks.
Murali. Yeah, adding to Abhinav's question, this is a valid question. We should charge the clients, right, for project to project. Anyway, we are going to purchase from UiPath for the 60K bundle. We're using for the multiple clients. Again, we need to charge the client based on the unit usage, right? So for that only, we need to know how much it is charging per agent or per process. Like, do we have any resource, how it is calculating per process or per agent or per pages like this?
I believe there's one session is scheduled on the licensing or cost point of view.
Okay.
Maybe that will gives you more clarity on it.
Yeah, because obviously client used to ask about the costs
Yes,
incurred towards
definitely.
each
But
agent,
see,
right? So
uh, this
yeah,
costing structure, maybe we can leave it to UAPA teams where they can answer it closely, right? Because
yeah,
every partner is having their own set of, how I would say,
and understand. But
exempt
do we have any
depending on the
link or
usage and
website
all.
link? Yeah, any
Yes.
information about in the website or
Like
community to know the
that
data?
will depend from partner to partner. Like I got 60K bundle for $4,000, and he got it for $3,000. But the thing is, once we have the 60K and I have 7 agents
Mm.
deployed,
Yeah,
how for each of the call, because now the upstream can be a user who is giving via assistant, or upstream can be RPA bot itself which is giving the string PDF data. So how that agent based upon the processing or the size, which you said that based on the size it may vary, how we can optimize it better, or how we can give a calculation to the last user that, boss, if we deploy an agent, this is what it will cost you yearly based upon your volume. And I give the example of DU because now I know, okay, form extractor will take me for each of the call zero point 0.2 AI units, and then the ML model will take me 1 AI units per call. So something like this, what I'm expecting, something like this.
Maybe we'll try to
Yeah, but
schedule
yeah,
one sessions on this as well,
yeah, yeah,
because see, because the complexity of the, and definitely we can invite UiPath itself where they can talk about the costing structure, because we are the not right person who can talk about the cost structure of the UiPath, right? So
understood.
Uh, or
Sure,
yeah.
either Deepak, if we have one job run cost, and if I want to optimize, is there any thumb rule that first I have to miss minimum monitoring runs should be this, or the minimum prompt token should be this, and minimum response tokens should be this? Then you have to start increasing it. Any thumb rule?
mm,
There is no thumb rule, but you can set your governance policies that for particular type of call, you need to limit this many number of tokens or this many number of LLM calls. So you can do a governance or policy, but there is no thumb rule for setting up those parameters.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you.
okay, Saloni, over
Yeah,
to you.
Deepak. No. So I think we've got a lot of feedback from everybody. Like, let me just, or maybe me, Deepak, and AB will pass this on to UiPath. So if we can get somebody from the UiPath product team to come and answer some of the cost related aspects, because I know that this is something which everybody's looking forward to hear, like the guidelines, etc. So we will definitely take it back to Rohit as well as to UiPath and see if we can arrange some session. But for today, thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks Deepak and AB for also delivering the cost benefit analysis principles, etc., from the computation tools perspective. Before I wind up, I would actually like to share what are the sessions that we are having next week. So next week we are looking at, so we have already looked at how do you discover, prioritizing those use cases. Today we spoke about cost benefit analysis. Now next session is actually dedicated to how do you actually build your team, right team for the agentic automation. So what are those new roles that are evolving with the evolution of agentic automation? And how do we actually upskill our current teams? And even if you have to go to the market, how do you actually look at the right resources for sourcing? So that's the next topic. And if you have not registered, Rohit already shared this link, but I'll share one more time for those who are still waiting to register. So feel free to register. And once again, thank you all, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the upcoming next sessions on the Discovery series.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.